Good morning, everybody. So yes, I'm Adam Haylock from ServiceNow. I'm going to talk to you today about some of the intelligence within the platform, specifically around ITSM and some of the AI components. Now, I've been with ServiceNow for 2 years, just coming up to 2 years, but my whole background has been in service management in various forms and ways. But before I start getting into ServiceNow, just want to take you back about 20 odd years back to the late 90s. Now, does anybody know what that and this is? Anybody? Close. That was my first ever help desk tool when I started working in the late 90s. Actually, this was the second phase of it. The first pager they gave me didn't have a screen on it. All it did was it would beep when somebody phoned me up. I phoned the pager, I had to phone them back and say yeah, and then they would tell me to go and see somebody. I would then fill out what I did on a bit of paper, take it back to a single person in the department who would then feed that into a Unix screen. So that was how it started back in the late 90s. Good times, it was good fun. When IT, we could do whatever we liked, turn anything off, didn't have to tell anybody. But luckily and thankfully, technology has, as we know, rapidly moved on, and we're no longer in this very old way of working. And I know it's the late 90s, but really that wasn't that long ago. We were using paper and pages to manage a service desk type environment. What's happened since then is mobiles technology has come along and ultimately changed the way we live our lives outside of work and on a daily basis. What do we do? How do we consume technology that helps us move through our everyday life? When we think about the advances that have come in and we start looking at examples that are on the screen there around, we look at technology like Waze that's on the screen there that's able to dynamically on the fly, give us information, help us navigate our route to this event this morning, can enable, to have that real-time information to give me the information to make different decisions. And I'm not sure if you've seen now, we've got with Google, for example, looking to bring in the augmented reality within the maps as well, so we can actually get more information about where we're going and so on. All the way through to intelligence and think about Netflix. So we think about how we use Netflix. It's searchless. We don't go on and we don't search. We don't say this is what I would like to consume. Pretty quickly, it knows who I am. It knows my profile. It's able to say, hey, I know who you are. This is what you want to watch, what to view. I know what you like. It's that searchless experience. And then of course we have to talk about, in terms of that consumer style experience, we go back to thinking about that single click process for Amazon, where we, all of the complexity is taken away for us. It's that seamless process where, my 8-year-old son can grab my phone and buy whatever he likes without having to read a training manual or anything like that. It really does happen. So that's fantastic, and that's what we're used to every single day of our lives outside of work. And we start to think about what's happening in organizations and why enterprises are looking to automation. We're talking about true end-to-end automation. We start to think about, that rapid change of digital disruption that's coming into organizations, forcing us to look at this automation across the enterprise, and that continued shift to cloud, removing those legacy, those old-fashioned, outdated systems as organizations continue to seek to move, shift to cloud. And at a rapid pace, as I said, but also while managing the risk within the organization. And then we think about some other aspects of that. We start to think about the changing of a mindset of the workforce that's coming into an organization. And I'm not necessarily, I don't want to go down the cliche route of millennials and talk about, it's a younger workforce. It's actually, just a changing workforce mentality. We expect things to be in a very different way, very different expectations, and we'll be working very differently. We think about the gig economy, no longer are people looking for these longer term jobs, seeking out different types of experiences within work. And we can see the list up there. Out of interest, does anybody relate to, can tick any of those off? Has anybody never played a DVD player in this room? No, I can't believe that. I did get rid of my DVD player years ago, and then my kids weren't happy with that. So, we can see these changes that are coming in, and this is really forcing, as I said, organizations to think differently and drive this digital transformation. On top of some of those changes, what are the technologies that are coming in, emerging into the ecosystem? The point here is these aren't kind of potential trends or things we're talking about. These are actually being adopted now by many, many organizations to improve all areas of their organization. We start to look at how we can automate event correlation and that systemic remediation through being able to learn and have that true visibility of the data and information that's happening, and be able to say, think about an example could be security management. So, instead of a SOC team members having to, fiddle through lots and lots of information and search through it, and it takes time. Actually, we're able to say, we know what you need to do. Preferably, we'll fix it for you. But if not, here's a playbook. I'll tell you what to do. I'll tell you how to go and fix that issue much, much more effectively. And we look at machine learning, and we'll talk about this as we go through the presentation, starting to see machine learning being effectively adopted into teams to really get rid of that, help automate that early stages of case management and incident management, and I'll show you. And all the way through to natural language understanding, things like Alexas, and this is how we're communicating and requesting things outside of work. We're seeing that adopted inside organizations. Absolutely, no longer is it a trend. And then final one, streamline integration. So we're able to much easier now integrate and provide these integrations to technologies where we need to out of the box seamless integrations to make that that value straight away. In terms of the digital transformation maturity model, so I see this, I still see this, we see this all the time in terms of many organizations still not operating still are operating in this manual way. So, lack of speed, lack of intelligence, and certainly not able to provide that consumer style experience. It goes back to my starting point. It's very unstructured, it's very manual, it's still phone calls and emails. I still see this, surprises me how often we come into this and we see organizations in that way. And I don't mean that being disrespectful, it's just where some people are in terms of their digital transformation programs and model. We take it all the way through to the other end, and we start actually seeing where that maturity model ends with digital, and we start talking about machines that are coming in to help speed up those processes, that self-learning and understanding of an organization in terms of its data, people, and everything, and then all the way through to being able to provide, proactively provide that experience on an individual cases and really that personal profile. So how's it done? It's done, as Chris was talking about at the start, it's talking about, we look at the ServiceNow platform, secure, scalable, powerful. When we talk about platform, some of the key features I'm going to talk about in a minute are platform features. So as you can see, we've got our core products at the top, IT, security, HR, CSM. And the features I'm going to be talking about, you've got your supervised machine learning, virtual agent, agent workspace, our mobile capability. They're all platform features. So what that means is as you adopt this enterprise approach, you can leverage these capabilities throughout the organization. So whether that is your IT department, your customer service, and your HR department, and so on. So thinking about just, really in terms of today's presentation, the areas I'm focusing on, what is it some of these technologies are coming in to try and solve? First one is self-service frustrations. And when I first saw that, I thought it's kind of a conflicting message. Like, self-service is great. What are we talking about there? I've been pushing self-service for best part of 20 years, and You know, it is good and it is fantastic, but it's not always perfect, or it's not always deployed correctly or in the right way. And that does lead to huge frustrations for our customers. That's something we need to fix. Inefficient, manual, very slow processes across the board. You know, a classic one I start to think about, bottlenecks in a poor change management process, whatever it might be, taking far too long to manage change throughout a company. You know, really not an agile, modern way of working. And that's a poor experiences for everyone. That actually said, poor experiences for customers or something like that, changed it, because this is very much a focus in a modern organization, and certainly within ServiceNow, and hopefully you'll start to see this and hear more of this. It's not just about a fantastic experience for our customers or employees, it's across the board. So it's everybody that touches it. It's the service agents, service desk agents, customer service agents, HR agents, and so on. So let's take a look at, first of all, the self-service area. So this is great. Self-service has lots and lots of benefits. I can go on, I can search, I can probably find information that I need. Absolutely brilliant. Maybe not all the time though. Sometimes I might be lucky. I might hit the piece of information I need, or it will send me to a knowledge base, article, or so on. And that's, as I say, kind of leading to some of that frustrations if it's not set up correctly. And then what we start doing, and I've seen so many examples of this in my career, is we expose the complexity to our customers and our users of our technology. And that's the example here. You know, hey, fantastic, fill this form in for me. It's going to make my life in IT or customers, whatever, so much easier, because I'm forcing you to do everything. Fill in your first name, last name, product name, whatever, everything. I had this experience last weekend, telling some people about my robotic lawnmower, but that's another story. Anyway, I phoned up and they asked me that I had to tell them product number, this, that. It took me forever, so it was like putting the work back on myself. Not really a modern way of working or providing a service to our customers. And then we start to see a shift from the interface that we're using. So again, interfaces outside of work. It's Alexa, it's Siri, it's quick, it's easy, it's voice. We look back to my first example when I was telling you about the Unix-based help desk system I first used. It was very, very complicated. And that's why only one person could use it, because there was only one person that was able to be trained in it to use it and correctly. And that's why they gave me the bit of paper. But that sounded bad on myself, didn't it? It was other people as well. You know, it was unforgiving. If you make a mistake whilst you're typing something in using this, you had to go all the way back to the start. It wasn't a great way of working, even though the back end worked quite well. And then we moved all the way through to we came up with GUIs, and we started providing graphical interfaces. So I just missed Windows 3.1. Was it 3.1, 3.11? I just missed that and came into 95, and then was lucky enough to move all the way through to Windows NT. That was my favorite. And then so on. But we loved it. It was easy to use, start. We knew how to find our icons. We knew how to find our way around. It was good. People were working a bit better. And then we lost the start bar and it changed a bit, and we came back to it. But the graphical interface generally came in and helped us how we were working in the organization. But what we're seeing now is we're actually seeing the shift back again and saying, well, even now that's too complicated. I don't need that. I don't want to be clicking around. I want just that simplicity of getting information, raising a request. And we're able to do it because technology has evolved. We're able to say, yes, we can bring that simplicity back into the workplace and provide you a much better way of working via a mobile conversational interface. And how do we serve that up at ServiceNow? So in ServiceNow, we have our virtual agent. So our virtual agent is a conversational virtual agent. It's designed to be very easy to use, absolutely to be consumed via a mobile, non-text heavy. It is click. You know, if you're using it to, as you can see in the examples there, order an item, you know, you'll select it with a picture and click it. Very, very easy to use and drive that value up through a virtual agent. So a couple of things to call out on the virtual agent. First one, in terms of best practice, which is really good news, what we're seeing now is we in the industry in general have changed our attitude towards how we serve up virtual agents and chatbots to our community. So gone are the days where we used to try and trick people using it, and we used to try and pretend they were humans, and it was like, hey, how are you? I'm a human helping you. Kind of know it's not. Now we know it's a virtual agent. We'll tell you it's a virtual agent. We will tell you when you're using a virtual agent and you're not. And it's a much more better, a more mature way of working. And it's there to pick up those high volume, low complexity tasks that we see coming into the organization. We at ServiceNow provide the pre-built conversations. So they're what you would expect, out the box, raise an incident, escalate a ticket, search knowledge, request an item, and so on and so on. You know, these are there ready to go. So when you adopt this technology, you get that value straight away. And because my friends from CSM and HR are here, also pre-built conversations in CSM and HR. So you can, as I say, use them straight away. And then the concept is, if or when you want to easily build different conversations that suit your organization, you can leverage those pre-built ones and quickly adapt them and use your own ones using the virtual designer builder, which again for ServiceNow, no code, low code designer, absolutely easy for anybody to use this and leverage that technology. Some other things, why else do virtual agents help? Some obvious ones, you receive immediate support. So you don't need to rely on a queue or phoning somebody up. You receive that support when you want to. Totally changes the culture of an organization because now I can actually consume service from my IT department, whatever department I'm using the virtual agent for, 24/7, anytime, anywhere, that type of concept. And one I always forget to mention that's like huge, especially within ServiceNow, is where it says kick off workflows across the enterprise. So what we're talking about there is, yes, we're able to use the virtual agent to help me, whether that's raise a request, find some information, whatever. But if you think about it, it's just another channel to get something into ServiceNow. Once it's in ServiceNow, we can use the power of the platform to orchestrate, do anything we want with our workflow technology to orchestrate work throughout the organization. So it's a quick and easy way for customers to kick off workflows for an enterprise. Absolutely huge. And my absolute favorite one to call out for our virtual agent is where it says integrations. Now, at the moment, it integrates with Slack, Teams, and Workspace, and more to come. But the reason I like that and want to call that out is because this is a cultural thing for me. What this is doing and enable organizations to do is say, look, when you want to consume a service from IT, you want to find out if there's an outage because you're working on a Sunday afternoon, you need to get something done and it's not quite working, nobody's available. How do you find out if there's an outage? Well, there might be an effective way to go and go to your home office, whatever it might be, fire up your laptop, go to the portal, find out that information. That's great. But what this does is says where you're working, if you're already communicating in one of these other integrations, Slack or whatever, you can consume the virtual agent from there. So it means you really can get this information anywhere. It's taking the technology to where you're working, and that I think is a big shift, and we're going to see much more of that to come, which I think is personally a real big changer for how people work, and goes right back to the start of the presentation. This is kind of expected now, that I don't want to have to shift where I'm working. I want it naturally to find where I am. So it is a conversational workflow virtual agent at the moment. So if I give you a quick example, you'll engage in the virtual agent. Hi, I've got a faulty laptop. And it's really important. I need it fixed because I'm doing a presentation at Highmetric Summit tomorrow. The virtual agent will come back and say, no problem at all. I'm going to raise that incident for you. Tell me if it's high. Is the priority high, medium, low? Click it high. It's pretty good, still pretty fast. With our acquisition of Parlo, and hopefully very soon in near releases, we'll see the introduction of natural language understanding into our virtual agent. And everything same with ServiceNow, it's natively built into the platform, absolutely no sort of connections or hooks on. This NLU will be in the platform. And at a very, very high level, what that means is we'll be able to talk to the virtual agent like we do humans. We'll be able to have like a human-like conversation. So in the example I just gave you, instead of saying, my laptop's broken, it's really important, I need it fixed straight away, and the virtual agent say, is it high, medium, low? It'd be able to say, got it, I understand, I've raised that for you, it's a high priority issue, and we'll take over everything else in the background. So that's kind of just as a high level how it can help. And there's a few other advantages as well, help you navigate between conversations. Final couple bits before I move on. I mentioned how we matured our usage now of telling people it is actually a virtual agent. One thing we can do now is actually we augment the virtual agent with our live agents, because it's not perfect. It can't always, every time, have the perfect conversation. Sometimes there's going to be a break in that flow. But instead of frustrating that customer and that employee, what we're able to say is, look, I can see it's not working. Do you want to switch over to a live agent? Yes, switch to an available live agent. They can see the context of that previous, of your conversation, take over, deal with it at that point in time. And then if needed, hand back to the virtual agent. So what we're doing is providing that good customer experience, and we're only using our people time when we need to. So if we need to, bring them in, let them deal with that, provide the good customer experience, and then get back to something that they were working on, potentially more important. So it's not all about implementing this new technology, these AI features across the platform. It's really important to understand this, that we are able to demonstrate the value back to the organization. So it's far too easy to implement virtual agent, machine learning, this type of technology, and then kind of just walk out the door, high-fiving each other, saying it's amazing, we've just made experience better. How do we actually really know? Well, this is where we come back to our analytics and our visibility of information within ServiceNow. This is a dashboard that was released in Madrid. So again, out of the box dashboard for people agency. I don't know if you can see you can see the details quite well. So basically it's going to be able to show you everything. Is it working? Where's it working? What integrations are working? What conversations are being used the most? And also which ones aren't working? So do we need to take a step back and look at certain bits of information? So it's really a way of being able to demonstrate, first of all, it's working and we're providing value into the organization. And if not, we've got the information to be able to improve, make decisions and change as we work. So that's the virtual agent within ServiceNow. Switching gears slightly, and we start to look at machine learning. We start to look at our agent intelligence and where we bring machine learning into play. What's the purpose of machine learning? Better customer experience, and I'll explain why as we move through. Reduced reassignment cost, that's just one of them. You know, we start to make sure we're getting cases and incidents and records to the right people at the right time, because machine learning, we know who to assign it to, we know how to assign it to. And that ultimately, of course, leads to much faster resolution, faster mean time to resolution, and an improved agent productivity, because they're not wasting time going through all those cases, manually assigning this information. What's it look like without machine learning? Previously, currently, we have requesters. That's not just people, that can be computers. You know, we start to think about IoT coming in and requesting items and notifications coming into the actioners, into the agents. And there's as it says, hundreds and hundreds and thousands of these in some organizations coming in all of the time. And when we get these, we're faced with hundreds of categories, multiple different priorities, different teams. So, you know, it's a hard thing to do. It does take time. If you get it right, great. It took a lot of time. If not, it still took a lot of time and you probably get it wrong. And we're just wasting far too much time categorizing, prioritizing, and assigning. And there's been some studies done in terms of those exact categories. So I'll try and explain it without getting too geeky or technical. That's just what we provide out of the box solutions for our machine learning in ServiceNow, okay, is to look at the automation of the categorization, the prioritization, and assigning those cases. And that's because studies have been done, research has been done across a number of organizations to say this is where we see the most value for you out of the box. It doesn't have to be those examples. It can be ones that are more relevant within your organization, but they're the ones that out the box will come in and we'll automate them. Key point, where we look at the requester now, all we're providing is all we need from the requester when we start leveraging machine learning is a short description. So now we're offering a different experience. We're saying you don't need to fill out that long, complicated form if you're lucky enough to find it. All I need from you is a short description, which is fantastic. Something's not, email's not working, got a problem, hit submit. Nice and easy for the customer, what they would expect to be able to do. We will then take over of everything else, get hold of that information, and as I say, be able to categorize it, prioritize it, and assign it. So agents are able to work on collaborating and resolving and getting that issue resolved quickly. Now, I debated whether to put this slide in or not. I had a worse one. It had pictures of dogs and cats. It was talking about how the machine learning worked, but that was really confusing. But I wanted to keep it in there because I just wanted to try and articulate that, it's not magic. It's not like when people think when Alexis first came out, it's just, magic, and it's just, there is some technology behind it. But the good news is it's incredibly simplistic and easy to use and understanding. Now, it does need a subset of data, okay? So it does need a certain amount of organizational data. So if we think about resolved incidents, it's going to need, a lot to be accurate. So we're going to have that data first of all, and it's going to have to be accurate data. We put that into the system, we put that into the engine, and it's able to learn from it and understand, okay, I've got your data, your solutions of your short descriptions, I know what the resolution was, and I can build a picture of this, of your closed resolutions in this example. And it will continually learn. We can make it continue learn, or if an organization's been through massive change, maybe a merger or something like that, we'll have to relearn, let the data relearn. But essentially, it will take that short description, it will go through to the engine, it will look at that data, and it will make a prediction. And this is where we're able to say, in that example there, are you picking up email, and the prediction of the priority, what's your confidence? And we're able to set thresholds and so on to say, yep, if it makes this threshold, go ahead and assign that to, in the example there, category of email and P1 category. And there's lots of data behind that. We can make sure we're being accurate, similar to virtual agent. If we're not, we can make those decisions to change as we go. So at a high level, very simplistic, very, very easy to build these solutions. They're kind of one page to see. If you were to see this example, it's one page with a few drop downs to build. Same concept within ServiceNow, no code, easy to set this up. That goes back to why at the early part of the talk we're saying this is now being adopted, because it's the technology is making it easy to set up. We've now got as well the concept of bringing in our Similarity Framework. And what this is doing is, this is now again being able to read the data of an organization. It's able to help agents by saying, hey, I can see you're working on an incident. And by the way, instead of you scrambling around, talking to colleagues, walking up and down, trying to find information, the framework will be able to say, here is 10 other incidents that are the same, and here's how they were fixed before. So you can get that information, say, okay, great, I can see that information, I know how to easily identify that one and fix it. And on top of that, it's also able to say, I can also see right now there's 10 other, or in the last 5 minutes, 10 other similar incidents. I recommend you switch gears and go into major incident management, and I'll make it easy for you just to click major incident management and go into a different process to make sure we don't waste any other time there. Really helpful for agents. And we're going to start to see even coming into things like helping with knowledge articles and which ones duplicates and stuff like that. So we're able to use AI to automate our knowledge bases and make sure they're as effective as possible. So this is served up via Agent Workspace. Has anybody seen or used Agent Workspace within ServiceNow currently? Okay, so Agent Workspace was limited availability in our London release and then released in Madrid, and we're really investing heavily in this space. So this goes back to the experience side for agents, because we recognize that, as I said at the start, we rightly so, we did a lot of work investing in our customers and employees and that side of the experience. But we did a lot of research through other acquisitions, and we kind of really spent some time digging into how do agents work? How are they working every day, all day? Because they're the ones that are in the systems, are using this. And we kind of thought we need to do some major changes here. So this is where Agent Workspace came in. It's a much more intuitive, easier interface for agents to use and work every day. Okay, it helps in a few areas. It makes sure that the important information you need is served up to the top. It's much more logical in terms of a left to right flow. It also enables context switching, because that was something that we discovered in the research. We all know that. We all know that's a reality in terms of, you know, like I say, I worked in IT many years. You can't even get to your desk in the morning before you're told a printer's broken, or you need to fix that, or you're halfway through an issue and something else. We have to deal with it. We cannot not do it. This helps manage that context, and it also helps prevent us having multiple tabs across multiple screens. It keeps it in one screen. Very logical, very easy. And then you can see where it brings in the AI side of it, looking at the agent intelligence on the right hand side. So that's where it's going to say, here's your 10 similar incidents, or here's a knowledge base article to help resolve that case you're working on. So it's going to speed up that resolution of that case for the agent. So everything we've talked about so far, you know, going through virtual agent, the machine learning side of the automation, the way through to how we're improving the experience for our customers and our agents, we have to bring into how we you know, going to start using mobile much more in terms of our workforce. Chris talked about it at the start. I showed you at the start how we're, you know, consuming this new type of technology on our mobiles day in, day out, in terms of whatever it might be, that Uber type experience, single click, your taxi's there, payments done. Organizations now have mobile strategies, and they have to, because that is vastly improving their productivity, their communication skills, and really is, you know, providing that type of experience that the workforce expects, and of course, reducing costs. So we launched our mobile studio in Madrid. So brand new, our new mobile offering off the back of our Sky Giraffe acquisition probably 18 months ago, where again, we took our time to build this into our platform. So it's native, there's no integrations in terms of our mobile offering. It currently provides out-the-box apps ready to go. So that's for at the moment, the agent. Think of the ITSM agent offering out the box. It's very, very easy. It's a modern type interface, you know, easily to just swipe to assign a case or update a case. And it uses all of the native mobile capabilities from your device, whichever one you're using. So you can use those out of the box, ready to go. More will come. So at the moment, as I said, it's the agent experience. Next will be the requester experience, so they can get the same mobile offering and more as we go. Also in the mobile offering is our mobile studio. So similar to when I talked about the virtual agent designer that's using no code, low code, very easy to build these conversations, exactly the same within Mobile Studio. You can see there, code-free app builder. So this is where you can now leverage that technology to easily build apps and applets for your organization outside of the out-the-box ones will provide, like the agents and requesters. So very, very easy to use and get up to speed and truly make your workforce mobile. So we focused a lot so far on AI and automation and the power of that, and where it really, really is helping organizations keep up to speed and dramatically improve and make sure that their workforce is being as efficient as possible. But I still wanted to include that people are still relevant, okay? We're still here, we're not going anywhere, we still have a place in an organization. So I wanted just to talk about the walk-up experience within ServiceNow, because I'm a big believer in, like, I love all this modern technology, AI, you know, how it's coming in the virtual agent, machine learning. It's all fantastic and it has its place, absolutely, and it will continue to grow. But we still need to think about, it's not for everything, it's certain channels. There are still some times when these don't work. There are examples where a virtual agent isn't the right channel. Machine learning isn't going to help. Sometimes we need to go a little bit more old school and have a walk-up type experience. So this is where we're able to use our technology in ServiceNow to manage this, because I'm pretty sure we can all remember the time, be familiar with this was like our worst case scenario, trying to manage walk-ups in an organization. We don't have any information, we don't have any visibility, we can't track it, stuff gets forgotten and lost, and it was kind of just parked for many years. But now, because the technology's there, we can manage it and we can provide this experience. So we have this at ServiceNow. They're called our tech lounges. If you came to our ServiceNow office, we have a tech lounge. We consume it internally. We walk up to the tech lounge. We sign in on the iPad. Soon we'll be able to just sign in on our badges. The point is, it's this white glove treatment when it's needed. So if my laptop is broken and I urgently need it fixed, I'm probably not going to go down the path of a virtual agent, because it's super important. I need it fixed in the next hour. I just need to walk up somewhere and have it fixed and serviced. This is what it does. Walk up, tap in. They'll know, first of all, I'll get information. Where am I in that tech lounge queue? How many people are in front of me? If it's one, I'll stand there and wait to be served. If it's 5, I've got information to go, well, do you know what? I'm going to go back, continue my conversation, do what I need to do, and then come back and have that be served. So it's giving me information as a customer around that level of service. And we can take it, it's improving all the time. We now have the concept of being able to book appointments and schedule in, so you do turn up. When you turn up, you get served. There's also whole other elements in terms of managing stock, helping assist the agents that are there so they know who's turning up, what their problem is, and how do we fix it. But again, all I did is just turn up, click my badge, click a button, and I'm ready to be served. So from my perspective as a customer, it is a fantastic experience. And I don't know if the other ServiceNow colleagues in the room use it. It really is brilliant. I mean, you do just turn up and I need a lead, I need it now, whatever it might be, and they're like, there you go, it's done. So it offers a very, very high satisfaction from an experience point of view, and we capture that on the way out. As you can see there, an iPad, how was your experience? Click, done. We capture that information. I'm not being sent back to my desk to fill out a long, complicated feedback form that I'm probably not going to do because I'm too busy. So wrapping up, we've talked a lot about innovation, some of the innovations that are coming within that are there now in ServiceNow. We are investing again heavily in this continuous customer-driven innovation. So at our sales kickoff in Vegas in January, you know, the message was clear. We are investing so heavily back into the platform and the innovations, and we will continue to see so. And you'll see some of this from the Chris Pope session, the keynote later on this afternoon, and he'll take you through some of this innovation in terms of our roadmap and really start to look at the future of work and what that looks like. So before I hand over to Ian, some key takeaways. Really, in terms of the technology and the way we're working, I would just really encourage you and all of us in the industry to really sort of, you know, be disruptive, drive that innovation, think differently, adopt this change that we're seeing, be open to it, use the information that's provided to you to make sure it is working, and if it isn't, adapt and change and make it happen. But really make sure, you're able to align to the organization's goals and objectives, and then drive this innovation to make sure we get those efficiencies in there. Automation across the enterprise. We know this, we get this. I can't remember where I was. Somebody said it a couple of weeks ago to me. It's not the nicest phrases, but I'll repeat it. They said, we're trying to automate the hell out of everything. And yeah, it's not a great phrase, but I thought that really sums it up in terms of that's the approach. What we can automate, we will automate it, and we'll leverage technology and machine learning and virtual agents, so on, to get that automation. But it must be true automation. It has to be across the entire organization, not into silos. Automate it through all of our departments and BUs within our organizations and the enterprise. Final one, technology. We have that covered. We've got the technology covered for you. Processes, we all have. We've been working on these processes for years. They're there, they're well defined. Both of us have those in place. And now it really is down to us, the people, to be able to leverage all of that and really be able to be in the best moments of our career, be as effective and as we can, and enjoy our time at work as well. So thank you very much.